What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And tonight, I am here to break down the Kansas City Chiefs Week 5 victory over the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. I'm actually making this with just a few minutes left in the game as the Chiefs are up 26-13, but I wanted to get my thoughts out to you guys as quickly as possible on what is going to end up being a victory for the Kansas City Chiefs since I still have to head into work tonight. But this game, guys, was pure domination by Kansas City from start to finish. There was one point in this game where the New Orleans Saints were able to score a touchdown on a mismatch between Foster Moreau and Leo Chenal on defense, and that made it 13-16. It was interesting for a couple of minutes, but then the Chiefs offense marched right down the field and scored. And that's where I want to start with this game. The offense, man. And guys, it's like the Kansas City Chiefs turned back the clock tonight to a different year because your leading rusher in this game was Kareem Hunt with 28 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster was your leading receiver with 7 catches for 130 yards. And I'm going to grab this stat from Brandon Kiley, my guy who does sports radio in St. Louis, used to be with 610 in KC. But he tweeted out that this is the second receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, to have 130 yards or more in a game since Tyreek Hill left Kansas City in 2021. The only other one, of course, is Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice and Juju Smith-Schuster, those are the two players that have 130 yards or more since Tyreek Hill left in Kansas City. I just thought that was pretty crazy. But Juju Smith-Schuster, man, I mean, you want to talk about a guy that turned back the clock tonight. I mean, not only was he serviceable for this team, but he also looked explosive, which I did not expect from him. You know, we've heard about the knee issues with him over the past couple of seasons, and that's really bothered him. He had a really down year in New England last year. He looked explosive tonight. I mean, just really, really good. And that's why I said whenever we signed him, I will welcome Juju Smith-Schuster back with open arms, because even him as your wide receiver 4 or 5, I mean, you're in a really good spot. Now, of course, with the injuries that have occurred since then, he's now like your wide receiver 2, but then he didn't look too bad as a wide receiver 2 now, did he? I mean, if this is the type of performance we can expect to get out of Juju Smith-Schuster in wake of all the injuries, makes me feel a lot better about the wide receiver room going forward, and that's without Xavier Worthy really truly breaking out yet. I mean, we've seen flashes from him, but we haven't quite seen him grow into that well-rounded wide receiver yet that is going to be trusted to make an impact week in and week out. And I do think he will get to that point. I mean, he even had a couple of moments in this game, Xavier Worthy, where he looked really good. He drew a pass interference, should have drawn 2, but the refs missed a very obvious one. And then, of course, he had the touchdown where Kelsey took the snap out of the Wildcat formation. That was a really nice play design by Andy Reid and company. I mean, this was the Chiefs' first almost complete game on offense of the entire season. The only reason I say almost is because of that pick that was thrown in the end zone by Patrick Mahomes, and it was Juju Smith-Schuster's fault. He should have caught that. It was in his hands. Of course, Colin Saunders picked it off, and we kind of got a funny moment there between the Chiefs and, of course, their former teammate Colin Saunders, where he was able to run it back about 40 yards. But outside of that, the offense was humming tonight. I really liked what I saw from them, and we needed to see a performance like this from them. Just from what we've seen this year, they've been really underwhelming. Patrick Mahomes was yet to have a great game. And while he had no passing touchdowns and an interception, Mahomes, he threw for over 300 yards for the first time this season. He was 28 of 39. 331 yards was his official total. And, of course, the one interception. But, I mean, I thought he played damn near a perfect game. It's just that unlucky interception that should have been a touchdown to Juju Smith-Schuster. If you take that away, Mahomes was awesome tonight. He looked very composed back there. And then what I really love to see from this team is the running game. Kareem Hunt, man, he was like an automatic 5 or 6 yards tonight every single time he got the ball. And though his average was only 3.6 yards per carry, that last drive kind of made his average go down because the Chiefs got conservative to run out clock and they handed it off to him, and he had a couple plays that went for a loss of yards, and that kind of took his average down. But I mean, if you watch the game, he was fantastic tonight, and not only was he great on the ground for this team, he made an impact in the receiving game as well. There was a play where Mahomes needed to dump off the ball, found Kareem Hunt, and he got a first down. I just love seeing Kareem Hunt back on this team, back in Kansas City. He just looks like he's having fun out there, and it's making for some really good football from him. And the short yardage, too. There were a couple short yardage situations for the Chiefs tonight, and it was those same situations over the past couple years where you're like, oh man, what's going to happen here? Andy's going to get too cute. We're going to get stuffed, and we're not going to get the first down, whether they were going for it on fourth down or it was third and short. It's like, oh man, what's going to happen here? Kareem Hunt was able to get the first down every single time with ease, it seemed like. And I all of a sudden have confidence in our short game again. I couldn't say that in years past, but Kareem Hunt may have single-handedly changed that. McCole Hardman also made several plays tonight on some screen passes. Again, when you talk about turning back the clock, we saw McCole Hardman actually get involved in this offense for the first time in a while. He actually recorded his first catch of the season tonight, ended up with 4 catches for 33 yards, but there was a couple plays where they were just able to get him the ball quickly out in the flats, and he had good enough blocking to make something out of it. And then even Jody Fortson, old friend, was able to record a catch tonight very early on. I remember he caught a pass. I'm like, wait, who the hell is that? Oh, Jody Fortson. I didn't expect to actually see him get targeted, but sure enough. Yeah, guys, offense was terrific. I mean, I have little to no complaints about them. You could pick out a couple times where maybe they could have executed a little bit better. Once again, the interception in the end zone off of Juju Smith-Schuster's hands. Yeah, you got to have that one. And then there was also a play where Mahomes was able to spin out of a sack, and he had Samaje Perine wide open and just barely missed him. And man, if he had completed that, that would have gone on the Patrick Mahomes career highlight reel. But offense was great, man, and I know you look at the scoreboard and you think 26-13, okay, decent win, but I mean, it really was pure domination from beginning to end. And when the Saints scored that touchdown to make it 13-16, the Chiefs were able to just turn it on and score a touchdown to put the game back out of reach for New Orleans again. And you could tell that when they wanted to, the Kansas City Chiefs, they could certainly go down and score a touchdown whenever they felt like it. It was that kind of night for them. And now defensively, there were a couple lapses tonight from the Chiefs defense where they gave up a couple explosive plays to the Saints offense. The Foster Moreau touchdown on Leo Chenal whenever they were able to expose that matchup. And then there was the deep touchdown to Rashid Shaheed for a touchdown. He had 4 catches for 86 yards tonight and a touchdown, averaged 21.5 yards per catch. He was a big problem for me coming into this game as far as a guy that could hurt the Chiefs if they weren't on their game tonight, and he certainly did that. It wasn't enough, of course, but he definitely got Brian Cook a couple times, and one of them he got burned for a touchdown. A little bit concerned about Brian Cook. He seems to be on the end of a lot of negative plays for the Chiefs defense this year. I'm hoping that's just him trying to shake off that injury from last year and get back into form, but what we've seen from him has not been so great this year. But that's probably about the only complaint I have on defense from this game. The Chiefs' run defense continues to be elite. They came into this game only allowing 2.9 yards per carry to running backs this year. They held Alvin Kamara to 11 carries for 26 yards. That's 2.4 yards per carry, guys. This Chiefs run defense is elite. And a lot of that you can thank Nick Bolton, who's been playing absolutely out of his mind lately. He had multiple tackles for a loss. There was a big screen that he sniffed out in this game that shut down a Saints drive. Nick Bolton's been awesome. Mike Pennell, again, turning back the clock. If that's the theme for this game. Turn back the clock night at Arrowhead Stadium. Mike Pennell looked great. And then Chris Jones, man, I mean, he was getting double-teamed constantly. Every single snap, Chris Jones was getting double-teamed. And late in the game, second half, third quarter, fourth quarter, he really started to beat those double teams and really causing problems for the Saints offense, and they just could not get much of anything done. This team really held Derek Carr in check. You know Steve Spagnuolo, you know this Chiefs team, still knows Derek Carr very well from his days in Las Vegas. He was only 18 of 28 for 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then a really bad interception, a ball that he should not have thrown. And then, of course, he went out of the game late after getting hurt, but it didn't really make much of a difference who they had in there at quarterback, in my opinion. Derek Carr just was not very good outside of that one long pass to Rashid Shaheed. So the defense did really well. Those are a couple guys that really stood out to me in a good way, though, is Chris Jones and Nick Bolton, the usual suspects. If there is one negative that I have from this game, Sky Moore. What the hell is he doing on this roster, man? He's hardly out there to begin with, and then, of course, he gets put back on a kick return tonight and muffs the kick return, almost causing a disaster to happen. In moments like that, it's just like, man, what does Sky Moore do? What does he do for this team? Why is he on this roster? I just don't get it. Oh, yeah, I guess I should also say Trent McDuffie really stood out tonight. I mean, he's playing as good as any cornerback in the NFL this year, and tonight he was absolutely shut down once again. So props to Trent McDuffie. I mean, there's not too much else to say, guys. This was a good, actually stress-free Chiefs game. Yeah, it was interesting for 2 minutes there in the third quarter, late third quarter, early fourth quarter. But this really was all Chiefs, man. It was Chiefs from beginning to end. Offense and defense both played well. How often do we get that? I mean, this is awesome, guys. And then the Royals are winning playoff games. You got Kareem Hunt, Juju Smith-Schuster making a big impact. What year is it? I mean, seriously. But, I mean, no complaints for me, really, tonight outside of Sky Moore being on the roster. You're 5-0. You're one of two teams in the NFL that are now still 5-0. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings. The Chiefs are far and away the number one team in the AFC so far this year, and that is with a really banged up offense. And I think most of us expect this team to probably trade for a wide receiver at some point. I understand they looked fine tonight without necessarily a wide receiver one on the team, but you still got to go out and get one, and I hope what happened tonight doesn't change the front office's minds. I'm hopeful that this front office isn't banking on Juju Smith-Schuster looking like 2019 Juju Smith-Schuster going forward, because I don't think that'll be the case. Now, I think Juju will definitely help this team going forward, but it's not every night he's going to have 7 catches for 130 yards. But I loved what I saw from this team. You're 5-0, heading into the bye week. Next week we get to relax. I mean, it's great to be a Chiefs fan right now, outside of the bad injury stuff that's been going on. But look, man, other guys are stepping up. And Travis Kelce, too, who I didn't talk about earlier. 9 catches for 70 yards, and he had that nice lateral play to Samaje Perine, I believe it was, that ended up getting us really close to a first down whenever it was a third and forever situation. Also, I want to give credit to Wanya Morris for getting hurt. Looked really bad there for a second, but he shook it off, came back in the game, and played really well, even despite getting hurt. He's been rock solid at left tackle since the Chiefs made the switch from Kingsley Suamataia to Wanya Morris. So, yeah, I could just keep rattling off positive things for this team, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. There's not really too much else to say. I mean, I'm satisfied with the performance tonight. You're 5-0 over a solid Saints team that a lot of people really liked coming into this year. I mean, they still have a good amount of talent on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, it's a good win. And I'm going to end it there, but I want to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Maybe some things that you liked or didn't like that I didn't necessarily touch on. I'd love to hear from you guys. But with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. And I'll see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!